Hello, everyone. My name is Hoda Alshami. I'm the Technology Product Manager from Nationwide.
Hi, and I'm Mike Leuzinger, Chief Architect for Nationwide. About 2 years ago, I was leading Nationwide's network services organization and faced with updating our strategy to keep up with the growing complexity of cloud connectivity, work from home connectivity, and the increasing expectations of near zero downtime. We knew a core part of this updated strategy needed to focus on automation, infrastructure as code, and DevNetOps practices. While we already had a good amount of scripting style automation in place, we had stagnated in moving toward a more modern DevNetOps style of capability. I had an open manager role as well as a couple of open engineering positions, which we would typically backfill with folks with strong enterprise networking backgrounds. However, since we had the luxury of already having had many excellent enterprise network engineers on staff, we decided to use our open roles to hire folks with more of an app dev background to help jumpstart and accelerate our DevNetOps efforts. This resulted in hiring Hoda Alshami as the manager for what was then known as the network monitoring team, and then giving her a few open positions to fill with developers. For the rest of this presentation, we're going to use a question and answer format to walk through the journey that Hoda and her team have been on for the past 18 months. Hoda, before coming over to manage the network monitoring team, you were a developer and then one of Nationwide's first ever Scrum Master and Agile coaches. What drew you to the network monitoring manager opportunity?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, the opportunity and the challenge that this position brought to me. As you mentioned before, I spent more than 14 years in the app dev area, and I had the opportunity to be a Scrum Master and Agile coach. So I work with different teams from the app dev area, bringing the DevOps principle and Agile principle to that team. And we all know, even in that side of the house, it's not like one size fits all. So you need to work with the team and make sure, those changes make sense to them and see the value in that. So I wonder if it's going to be the same situation with INO and network in specific. So I said, okay, let's try it. And Mike, I'll say, you did a great job promoting this job to me, because I remember in our first discussion, when I reached out to you to know more about that position and your expectation, you really helped me understand how this position will help me and what's the excitement around all those, activity that's need to be happen, adopting the DevOps and Agile, and triggered my curiosity to know more. So I remember the first thing I did, I had to go and Google and do some research around what's OSI model, what is the infrastructure as code, what's the switch and routers, a vendor, and all that. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. And likewise, you came in, obviously I gave you background on what we were aiming for the network strategy, but there was a reason why I hired you. And one of those reasons was you were much more familiar with DevOps than I was, right? So as you came on and you kind of learned some of the networking side, how did you assess the situation and what was your vision for the team and the overall capability?
Yeah, so when I joined at that time, you mentioned two things: teams and capability. I don't think they were there. So it was, more like a group of great engineers. They are SME, they work in silos, they work it's like one-on-one relationship between the tool they are working on and who is working on that as network engineer. So basically they were very heads down, doing all the operational work. They are great SME, they're doing all the admin work for that. And there is no a cross boundary between them. And when talking about capability, at that time, capability was not a term that's used. Most of us were using tools. So I have this tool, I'm working with this tool, I do network config management, I do network performance monitoring or availability monitoring, I do packet capture. So the first activity I did with the team, like I said, let's go to one room, and I put on that whiteboard, I'm not going to talk about tools anymore. Let's talk about capability. So we kind of lay down, this is the tools we have, and this is the capability that bring to the table. And it was a great meeting, great session. And, the outcome of that, we found out, it was important for me and important with the team to see how much overlap we have with the tools we have. And the other thing, we have great tools, but because, we only have one engineer working that, we're not able to use this tool to the best of its ability. And there is a great feature that we're not implemented, because you always hear that there is not too many hours of the day to do the operation and admin and take care of the task and implement this new feature. So my vision from, I would say, month one, joining this team, we need to be one team working together, and we need to streamline the tool we have and make the best of the tools we have.
Great. And knowing this would be a multi-step journey, a long journey at that, how did you see that vision evolving over time?
Yeah, it's been 18 months, but it feels like a long time sometimes, because I remember when I joined, as you mentioned, we were network monitoring team. So we are responsible for the monitoring. Then at that time, we evolved and moved to the product centric model, and we changed the branding for our team. And we said we are network management. So observability and automation, it's under our scope. So at that time, I was working with the engineer to see, okay, what automation mean to us, what things that we need to automate, and try to build that automation backlog and try to help them and think in terms of automation. So I remember I reached out to the other team in the network org for the campus team and the firewall team and so on. If you have any idea about automation or a manual process that you think technology will help us to automate, put that a card, put it a card, put it on our board. At that time, we have a physical board, and let's talk about it. So just gathering, the ideas from the whole org about what automation means for them. And, we started growing our backlog, and, we need to start execution. At that time, we don't have developer. We have a great engineer do scripting, but they're lacking the development mindset, the object oriented, or they script more like, serial task. So we said, let's add